Like, I don't need a fucking trophy to know I'm real. I know I'm real.
I've had guys cry to me and be like, I wish you would have never told me.
When they stay in too long, that's when they get clocked. When they give you that
trans girl confession.
Feel like a fam, feel like a fam, feel like the country, feel so good.
Now, they want to know what's your pronouns.
What's my pronouns? Cash app.
Do you find it offensive if someone asks you, what are your pronouns?
Yes, absolutely. I find that very offensive. Can't you tell? When I know I'm passable and it's just like, you're gonna ask me what my pronouns are, like, bitch, are you trying it? You're trying it. Are you trying to clock me? Yeah, like, no.
oh, what's your pronouns? What do you mean? What you see? What you see, what you get. We're not gonna play that. What's my pronouns? What you see is what you get. If you see a woman, please don't ask me what's my pronouns, because that was going into disrespect. That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful to ask a woman of trans experience what's her pronouns. If this thing over here bodied. How you gonna ask a girl what's her pronouns if she over here bodied? I'm talking about bodied like hips and ass and titties. Can't. Don't ask me what's my pronouns, because then I'm gonna go just like this. Excuse me? Ask the non-binaries what's their pronouns.
You know what? Like, nowadays things are getting a little bit confusing because we have so many trans people nowadays that want to keep their beard, you know, want to put a little lipstick, a wig, and call themselves trans, or, you know, or that they're a woman. And for me, obviously, knowing what it is to go through misgendering and stuff, I obviously have respect, you know, and I try my hardest, even though I might sometimes fuck up, just like anybody else would, you know, because if you're not portraying this image of a woman, don't expect people to treat you or use the proper pronouns. You know, it takes time.
They so quick to ask a woman of trans experience what should they call them by, but a motherfucking man with 100% testosterone in his body could walk past here with a forbidden mustache and beat it. With a boy t-shirt and girl clothing and boy sneakers, and they calling that a miss. It's a man.
But wouldn't that be transphobic of you to say that?
It can't be transphobic.
But people will say that it's self-hate.
It can't be self-hate. Let's be real. Let's stop the bullshit. See, that's the problem now. We gotta stop that. Let's stop the bullshit.
When people ask me for my pronouns, I have two reactions. One being like, excuse me? Like, what about me is not presenting absolutely woman to you, right? But then I have to think about, wait a minute, okay, but we always talk about in the trans movement, like, you can never make an assumption about anyone's gender identity. So I happily answer that question, she, her, hers. I understand that some people could take offense to that, especially if they have this quote unquote passability. And I say quote unquote because what is passability? There's no one way to pass as a cis person, so why is there a way to pass as a trans person? And I personally don't aspire to be cisgender, a cisgender woman. I aspire to be a badass trans woman who like is just living her life and thriving as a trans woman.
You don't have to remind me that I'm trans. Every day when I wake up in the morning at 5 a.m., I have to stand and take a piss and whip my dick out. I know I'm trans every day.
And you could be trans too. This is brought to you by estrogen.
My advice to girls who are struggling with passing, we all have that struggle. Even if you do pass, we still have struggles. Like, being passable is literally a mindset. Being passable is, when they say beauty is literally in the eye of the beholder, beauty is just that, in the eye of the beholder. Because the same guy that will come and tell me that I'm so beautiful and that I'm just all of the things, just gorgeous and just a total knockout, will go right behind me and tell Miss Piggy that she's the same. You know, and tell Bob, the drag queen, that they are the most beautiful most gorgeous trans that they have ever seen. And to me, that is a slap in the face. Like, in what capacity do you think that me, Bob, and the femboy all were in the same sentence? Like, I don't get it. I've had a fine ass nigga sit beside me and was like, so what's the difference between you and a femboy? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what's the difference? And he was like, listen. I was like, what do you mean? Like, what's the difference? He's like, explain to me. And I'm like, well, for one is in transition and the other one's not. So, well, what can they do that you do different? And I'm like, be a girl.
Okay, so I think people see trans women as femboys because I think a lot of men who say they are attracted to trans women are actually not attracted to trans women. They're dick amorous. And they like dick, or bussy amorous. So I have had some men ask if I'm a femboy, and it's kind of offensive that there's so little understanding of different gender identities. That's the first thing. I would rather be fetishized as a trans woman than a femboy.
Why y'all putting a trans woman up against a gay guy? I'm not a gay guy. How could I be a gay guy? How? For them to look at us as a femboy, I think that is totally disrespectful. You mean to tell me, no matter how much hormones I took, how much I transitioned over a decade, you want to tell me that we are the same? Very out of order, but this is why I charge these guys.
The trans umbrella is so wide and so inclusive that sometimes it just makes things very difficult for heterosexual, transsexual women like myself, who find it very seemingly more difficult for people to identify, recognize, and differentiate the differences and levels between the umbrella of trans, because all trans aren't transitioning, all trans aren't, fully transitioning, if that makes sense. Any femininity they see as a girl or ladylike or a woman, or the essence or facade of a girl. So to them, they place us together. And I think that's the key to why the T should be separated from the LGBT.
I personally, at one point in my life, wasn't passable. This was when I first started my transition. And, I feel like all the girls go through that. But as years pass by and I've gotten surgeries like FFS, and I've been on hormones now more than 8 years. I think 8 or 9 years now. I started when I was 17. And I used to actually also take birth control pills at such a young age. Now that I'm passable, it's a little bit hard because, on my everyday life as we walk, sometimes we meet men, and when they see this beautiful woman or this person that just oozes femininity, they obviously, if they're heterosexual, gravitate towards that. And sometimes it's scary because, of course, you don't want to spill your tea to just anyone. And so it's hard to sometimes make relationships or friendships because this person sees you as this beautiful woman and everything, but you're holding on to this like big secret, and it could be a little bit scary, especially in situations when a guy is getting a little bit too close and too touchy. I'm a firm believer of being honest, especially because nowadays we have a lot of the girls that get killed, unfortunately, for not being honest and upfront. But I also feel as though I shouldn't just be like, hi, my name is Demi and I'm trans, automatically. I feel like you kind of just know when the vibe is right or when you feel like you're comfortable. But for me personally, like, let's say if I go on a date with a guy, right? We talk, whatever, we vibe. Let's say we get so along and he's like, hey, I want to see you next time. And once he says, I want to see you next time, for me personally, I'm like, okay, like, I can tell you're feeling me. We're vibing. And you know, everything is going great. The day is going great. So there comes a point where I personally do it through the phone. I'll call them and I'll be like, hey, like, I genuinely want to be honest with you and just let you know that I am a trans woman. And if you're open-minded, that's perfectly fine. And if you're not, that's also perfectly fine. You know, I feel like we live in a world where some men are just comfortable with dating all types of women, and there's some men that aren't. And you'd be surprised. There's a lot of guys that are actually willing to, you know, experiment or be with a doll. So,
well, first of all, we have to be real here. We are living in a difficult time. We are living in difficult times, and we have to understand that society not letting us through at all. So, for the girls that want to pass or trying to be passable, I think it's a curse and a blessing at the same time. I'm going to give you the blessing. The blessing of being passable is that you get to blend in with society and nobody knows your business. And it's like an easy day in the park. It's like an easy day in the park. It's like an easy walk in the park. Like, you don't have to worry about nothing. You don't have to worry about if somebody's gonna get into your tea and do anything harm to you, because you know in the world know that you're a passable girl. And I think, to be honest, I think it's very important to be passable, because guys they still, until this day, doing harmful stuff to us. They still killing us. You even have not even older guys now. Let's talk about how these kids is being raised to discriminate against trans women, passable and non-passable. Please be careful. Being passable is cute. It's over and everything, but in the hood, you gotta be careful of the jealous females. The jealous females. Let's talk about being passable in hood. The trade might live and everything. He probably ain't got no tea. You probably would tell him tea, probably don't know. But it's always the females in the hood that will set you up. So I'm going to say this to the girls. When you move in the hood, my best advice is to not be friendly. I would rather tell a guy my tea over the phone. I can't do it in the streets because it's too much going on. You tell a guy in the streets, you don't know if you got a knife or a gun. So you would want to be passable so you can get through.
About a year and a half ago, I was in the drive-thru of a Sonic, and I had an altercation with the manager, and he asked me what I was.
If them call you a sir, I don't know what they did then.
Because they saw the name on my credit card, and they were not being nice people.
Well, I mean, they saw your name on the credit card. What do you want them to tell you?
That has nothing to do with it. There could be someone in the back that they don't see.
So, what are you? So I can call you a sir or ma'am? What are you?
What would you assume looking at me?
What are you?
What would you assume looking at me?
I assume that you're a man. Okay?
I made a TikTok video about it, thinking that, you know, I needed support because I had just come out. I was getting over a major drug relapse after being sober for like 14 years. I wasn't in the best place. And at that point, I saw myself as the most beautiful woman in the world. And, you know, regardless of my passability or my not passability, everyone should be treated with respect when they're getting fast food. I was sticking up for myself and other people who would be in that situation who wouldn't be able to speak up for themselves. You know, it could lead to someone's dysphoria and take them to a really bad place mentally, physically, etc. I just got my documents changed in the last couple months, and I waited because my family was having a little bit of trouble with my transition, and they asked me to give them a little bit of time. This was a huge safety risk for me because I would show up looking like myself and being myself, Eden Rose Torres female, and my documentation said my old name and male. So every time I checked into a hotel, every time I paid for something with a credit card or had to show my ID, I was outed automatically, whether people knew or not. It added another layer of me not being protected. So once I finally did get those documents changed, I felt so safe, so secure. And it really empowers me to just like live my truth every day.
You ever had gay men use your photo?
Listen, gay men will use the girls. Every gay that was around me that was like a friend, all trans now. All started out as a prostitute, hoes, you know, working, you know, ads and, you know, escorting up in drag, and then just full throttle. Five years later, they're a doll. So I don't really particularly like to hang around the gays in that capacity. I don't allow them to be in my space. I don't like to answer my phone calls around them. I don't like to talk about, you know, relationship issues around, but that's just, you know, me and what I've experienced and is that trauma?
I'm about to ask you, are you homophobic?
Is that trauma?
It sounds like a little anti-LGBT.
But not really, because I love my gays. I just feel like, see, gay men don't know their place when it comes to trans women. If I'm around a gay guy, I would want him to be naturally, organically himself. So a lot of gays want to compete. They want to like battle. They want to, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't like the competition because it's not a competition, you know? And I don't like to compete with other girls because we're not competing against each other. I don't really think that the gay guys find a balance within their femininity or being naturally loving, caring, supportive, and attentive to me as a woman. And like, I don't hang out with gays who are flamboyant. That's my issue, because it's like, when I'm with a gay guy and he's like masculine, I need him to be like a regular guy, you know? And that type of guy typically is not going to be trying to impress the type of guys that would be attracted to me. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's always an issue. They always want to sit underneath, you know, the trade's face. They want to play PS, you know, 7 with the trade, and it's just like, you're doing too much. Like,
and I'm trying not to be disrespectful, right? So when it comes to these gay boys trying to get transgender work, I'm gonna say that, and I think that is so fair. I think that's fair to say. Gay guys is getting transgender work. We talking about facial feminization, and we talking about BBLs, because they're not gonna get implants, because they're not gonna go that far, because they know deep down inside they don't feel like a woman how us trans women do. So with these gay guys getting work, it's unacceptable.
Why is that unacceptable? They want to be that girl.
I would say this, and I'm so sorry to laugh, but I have to be real. That's all I know how to be. If you want to be feminine, be feminine. Be a feminine guy. But I feel like when it comes to you trying to be like get trans work, like how trans women do to feel more complete, I feel like that's a mockery. It's a mockery. It's a fool. It's foolish. It's a fool. They deep down inside don't want to be a woman. They want to get the guys that we get. They're not gonna get no titties, but they're gonna get this. They're gonna get this, cause that's what attract guys nowadays. So of course they're gonna go to the doctor like they've been doing. Like I got a friend that's doing it now. Of course they're gonna go to the doctor and tell them that they're non-binary to get that surgery. And I'm talking about makeup, beard and mustache, boy clothing. I've seen it, and they know that they want to live the lifestyle that we live. But little do they know, our lifestyle is not all peaches and cream.
I remember when I first started, I grew up in Paterson, New Jersey. I was actually the first trans woman in my high school that graduated. And, you know, I was just so rebellious because I didn't grow up with such support from my family. So I was very rebellious. I was like, you know what, like, fuck you. I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna live my life because I don't want to be fucking 70 years old and regret, you know, not living my truth, you know? So when I first started transitioning, you know, I made it very public. You know, I remember shaving my whole head because I was like, all right, I want my hair to start growing. And I remember I used to be a bald girl with 6-inch heels with a little fucking mini skirt. Like, I looked fucking ridiculous, you know? And obviously there was times where men would be like, oh, yo, that's a faggot. That's a man. I remember the worst thing I ever got was when I was walking on Main Street in Paterson, and it really broke me down, you know, but it also made me strong because I remember I was passing by and I used to get guys ask me, look, oh, how big are you, from across the street, and yell it like really loud, and it would be embarrassing. And I remember I came home to my mom crying, and I was like, you know, I was just devastated. You know, obviously I wanted to be fish and everything at such a young age and very quick, but you know, it obviously takes time. I always tell people it takes time, and eventually you'll look back and be like, you know what, like, look at where I'm at now, you know? I definitely see the divide between trans girls that are passable and trans girls that are brick meaning, you know, you look a little hard, you look a little manly. There is a divide. You could definitely feel it. Even for me, like I am real enough, but I know there's a lot of girls that are just so much closer for some weird reason, and I don't know if that comes with like intimidation or if they just don't want to associate with other girls that are passable. I feel like nowadays, like even before, I used to always say this when I was growing up, I feel like a lot of the girls are just divided, and I feel like instead of being divided, we should come together and, you know, fucking rule this world, you know? We just need a little more love and respect for others, you know? Like I said, there was a point where you were a fucking brick too, sis, you know? Like, you were there at one point, I was there at one point too. So, you know, why treat someone else less than you just because you're not up to your level or your look, or, you know, you don't want them to be around you because then you're gonna be afraid that they're gonna spook you too, you know? Like for me, like I have some girlfriends where I can be honest, you know, are not that passable, and that's perfectly fine. And I don't feel any type of way when I walk with them, because if they clock her and they clock me, oh well, you can still stare at me, I look good, you know, like it doesn't really bother me. But there definitely is this divide, and I just feel like we should just come together and help each other out rather than, you know, be more divided. You know, we already have the world against us, so why go at it with each other?
Some of the girls are not even girls like behind closed doors. Like, let's talk about that. You know,
we could talk about it.
All the girls want to be the girls and the dolls and all of the things, but you go into their home and they're literally living like a fucking goddamn boys' locker room. Like, people's mattresses are black. Like, that is disgusting. There's no sheets on the bed. Like, and then y'all want to film on stuff like that. Like, it's like, I don't understand. I don't get it. It just bothers me how some of the girls like literally put a beautiful girl, a beautiful face, and then you just go into her home in private space and you be like, what? Miss Thing Girl, do what? And I feel like that's a feminine quality and trait that a lot of LGBT people do not have, because most of them were kicked out when they were young, you know what I mean? So they've never had to make their bed when they get out of bed. So, you know, and they're always in a rush, or they do everything last minute, so everything is always disorganized, and then you can't find your keys because you don't know where you put it at. So it's like, these are things that as a woman you should be domesticated. I've been doing this since I was 13. So when I got silicone, I end up getting it's not called now it's called hate crime, but back then it was called gay bashing. So I experienced being a victim of gay bashing, and I got jumped. And I really, in my mind, thought that it was because how I looked, right? Or that the guys could tell, what I was. Even though people around me would tell me that, I was pretty or passable, I really didn't understand why that happened to me, because I was minding my own damn business. And as naive as I was back then, I didn't understand it. As time, came along, I understood. I felt like I needed to achieve, a more feminine silhouette, a more feminine shaped body. And then I wouldn't be as, I guess, a laughing stock, or all of the issues that come along with not passing. That was a horrible experience, and that in my mind, in my, the psyche of it, led me to getting injections. And boy, was that an issue, because I hear so many people say, oh, you could just get a BBL. Listen, there was no BBL 10, 15 years ago. If you were trying to get work in the United States of America, and you went to a doctor and told them that you were a boy or a trans, they would look at you like you were crazy. So we had to resort to, international borders to get the work done, because of course everywhere else is progressive with trans but America.
Do you recommend a girl getting pumped with silicone?
Do I recommend a girl to get pumped? I think that is like on a serious case-by-case situation, because some girls are skinny, they don't have any, extra fat or transferable fat. However, if it's provided, from a doctor, which I know doctors who do them, they're not in the USA. However, I know a lot of, my LA girlfriends who, child, y'all body, that was silicone, that was medical grade silicone. You know what I mean? So if it's under those type of circumstances, I could, recommend that you go to that specific doctor that specializes. But at the end of the day, no free floating silicone is not good at all, So, and I think that, play it safe.
What happened in your situation?
So like 3 years ago, I started having like discomfort, pain, and then like I kept going to the hospital. I'm a stickler for health, like especially when it comes to listen, if I hit my big toe on stub it, I'm going to the hospital. Like, I'm that type of individual. A lot of people don't like to go to the hospital, bitch. I will go to the hospital for anything. Lo and behold, my silicone was leaking down, like literally down my leg, and messing up with like my nerves. And then it got to a point where I just couldn't even wear heels at all. And I was just like, okay, so this is a problem. And I couldn't figure out, or the 10 doctors couldn't figure out what was going on, because I also had, a bacterial infection in my blood. So it's like, where is this? It's 10 doctors standing around me on this bed. I'm dying every day, bro. Like, what's going on? And they can't figure out what it is. They were thinking it was like a traveling virus, like they were trying to figure out where it was deriving from. Lo and behold, it was my silicone. So, when I found that out, I didn't want to believe it, because I didn't have, too much issues with my ass. And then it started changing, deforming, and started, hardening. And that was like my last straw. I was like, oh no, this has to come out. So I started doing research, which brought me to New York. And the doctor that I went to, typically he doesn't, do silicone removal, but I'm glad he chose me as a candidate to do so. And I will not lie, it was the worst experience of surgeries that I've ever had. The most painful, the most, psychological. It's everything that has transpired. I would definitely recommend anybody who's had silicone injections to remove it ASAP.
I am blessed by the man above that I didn't have to do so much work to my face. So next one, make a year since I had my chin done. All I did was do my chin, did my breast twice, got a little fix down here, and got my BBL.
I had my chin done. I had my mandibles done. I had this shaven down just to make it more V because I had a wide jawline. I did my orbitals, my brow bone. I also, since they opened me from ear to ear, I was like, all right, give me a little lift. So they lifted my eyes and my brows, and the tissue that he used, he put it on my lips to give me a little more like puckered lips naturally, because at first I wanted to get like fat on my lips for my stomach, but the body eats most of the fat, so it ends up going away. So I wanted something more permanent, and that's what I got done. Next thing I want to get done that's in the works is bottom surgery, but I'm a little bit scared. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really just terrified in the sense that after I'm done with the surgery, I'm gonna have to put 4 fucking dildos of different sizes up my coochie. Like, do I really want to go through all that? I feel like now, ever since I got FFS done, and I had my boobs done now for more than I think 5 years, like I feel like, and I've always been petite, I'm only 5'6", I've always been small. Like I feel like I don't need to get the surgery, but I just know mentally I would feel so much more at ease, and I'll be able to wear stuff, because honestly, tucking fucking sucks. Tucking is a big topic, and not a lot of girls talk about it, but like I'm gonna be very upfront. When you tuck, like after a while it fucking hurts, like sometimes you'll get blisters, some people get ingrown hairs like that, some people get infections. It happens, and like it's a thing. Not a lot of people talk about it, but it happens, and yeah, like I'm just sick and tired of it. I want to be able to wear jeans and be able to put on a bikini and not really care or think about it so much, and be like, oh my god, am I okay? Is this showing? Is it bulging? Is my pussy a little bit too thick? I don't want that. So that's the main reason why I want to get it done, but also because, like I said, I would just feel a little more in tune with myself. Also, just because I got these surgeries doesn't mean everybody has to get surgery, like I said, I believe you should go through it fully, but it's not for everyone. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, whatever makes you happy at the end of the day. If you believe you're a woman and you are a woman and that's what you give, then that's what you are. You don't have to get bottom surgery. Not everybody's journey is the same.
I'm not the most passable. I don't care if you know that I'm trans or not. If I'm walking down the street and a guy who I believe is straight says, that's a fucking nigga, that's a boy, that's a drag, whatever, however he wants to say it, I'm not going to argue with that person. Why would I? First off, let's break that down, okay? Because I know a lot of girls love to put themselves in compromising situations because they want to fight for their tea, or they want to check the trade, or they want to, whatever the case may be. If I know a person is delivering a message abruptly, loudly, ignorantly, in public setting, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't respect you. So why would I argue with a person who has no respect for themselves, nor me? Why would I argue with a person, and let's be clear and honest and technical, was there some truth to what they said? So why even create that energy to follow suit? Why do the girls do that? Why do they want to go off? Why do they want to fight for their tea? Why do they want to, I just never understood that. And it's maybe because I've gotten to a place where I've seen so many of the girls pass. I've seen so many of the girls, put themselves in so many situations where it could have been avoided, where if he's ignorant, you ain't gonna change his mindset.
Hey, hope you're enjoying the content. Make sure to like, subscribe, and if you can, send us a super thanks. Tea Time Network is ad-free, so show us your support. We can use the help.
I was at a carnival and I was with the Trey, and like Trey was handing it, girl. Like he was uber masculine. It was breaking me down. I was feeling like this. I was like, yes. So this one guy, he was, child, the tranny chasers. They are rampant and they are fierce. And if they get any rejection, they are calling you out of your name, character, and all of the things. So this one guy was literally like doing the same thing and yelling like, that's a dude right there. Yeah, that's a dude. Mind you, and I'm like with my friend, and my friend's like, yo, why is he going off? You know this nigga? I'm like, no, I don't know that nigga. And he's steadily like saying, yeah, you've trans whatever he said. And I'm looking around like, who is he talking to? Like, bitch, I know I'm one. I thought that nigga was literally like saying somebody else we knew was like a trans. Cause I'm like, bitch, I don't need him to tell me what I am. Like, bitch, what is wrong with you? Like, and everybody looking at like, what? What is this man crazy? Now he look dumb. Cause I'm not falling into it. For what? Why?
It's not all glitz and glam. When they stay in too long, that's when they're getting clocked. When they give you that. For the past 6 years, I had to say to myself, baby, the world is getting very vicious and you never know. So I always carry this. I carry this for protection because these guys are really not in their right minds. And it's sad to say, but it's the truth. These guys are out to harm trans women. This is bear deteriorate, a counter assault, bear deteriorate, grizzly, tough, bear spray. Animals, that's how these guys are. You gotta treat them like animal. I had to use it on 2 clients and I had to use it on a girl.
Oh.
I don't play that. I don't like altercation. So to protect me, because I'm a woman of trans experience, and to protect just everything about me, what I work hard for, I gotta spray and go.
Do you think it's easier for passable trans women to find love?
No. I do not believe that it's easier for a passable trans woman to find love. I think that it's equally difficult for all of us trans to find love because it's such a sex-driven lifestyle. I mean, I'm a transsexual. So the first thing that guys' minds go straight to is, how big are you? When it comes to women and trans women finding love, I think that the most authentic way that you're going to find love is being brutally honest from day one with any man. No one likes to feel lied, deceived, or being withheld from the truth in any capacity. I will say that 100 wholeheartedly, and I stand on that, because you have girls out here that will, go on 8 dates and never tell T until you want to have sex with that individual, right? Or you can be like me and even, push through and not tell T and even take showers with them and still be, pushing through. I used to literally push the envelope. I've had relationships where it was like I had someone like just for rent. I would date a guy and, he would be like, that would be like car insurance. Or, I would date a guy and he would be like, like car note. So a guy would think that he's like fucking me and like he's totally thighing me and like yeah, like, I need abortion money. Like, I'm late. Like, the girls got all of their scandals and tricks to the game. And, ooh, I used to be a trickster.
I call myself the organic fish because I'm different. I'm different from other trans women. This would be very shocking to some people. I could suck a dick and not tell a guy anything. I could suck a dick and not tell a guy anything. I could go inside of a store and have a conversation with the guy with 5, 6 other homeboys, and ain't none of them gonna clock it. I can go to a straight club and they're not gonna know tea, like I did on New Year's. It's a lot of stuff I can do that nobody will ever know.
Man, I've had guys cry to me and be like, I wish you would have never told me. Because it's like, he knew. But it's like when you confirm it, then they have to battle this mindset of the reality of, now they're questioning everything in their mindset.
That's when it's time to run.
Back in the day, when you were really getting a real piece of trade and it was his first time, immediately after he nut and he get the... Yo, so...
Starts reading Bible scriptures.
You know, like...
He starts talking about
like,
Bible
am I gay? Like, yo, no. Come sit down. Like, talk to me for a second. And I'll be like, you know, baby, it's time for you to go. Yeah. They be like, yo, come talk to me for a second. And I'll be like, what? Talk about what? Like, you go. Like, out the door, bye. Them niggas be like crazy. Like, I mean, whoa.
He starts coming out.
You want to talk about revelations?
You made me gay.
What? Who is that? No. I didn't make you anything. Okay, let's be clear here. I did not ask for my penis to go in your mouth, sir. I promise you I did not ask. What I did ask was, could you go deeper?
When I think about it, even if I was to get a pussy, I think I would still be honest, because I wouldn't want to be with someone that I know genuinely doesn't love me for me and all the struggles that I've been through and everything I had to deal with when it comes to society, my life, school, work, like everything. I want them to love me for me, and I wouldn't want to hide and have to hide pictures and have to hide my family or family members that I know are going to misgender me by accident or are still not on board, like, or friends or my girlfriends. I don't want to be like, hey, you can't come over because then my husband is going to know or clock your tea and then he's going to clock me. And then I have this one girlfriend where she told me, she was like, you know what, like, yeah, like I get men and stuff, but she also told me one time that there was this guy that, you know, she was sleeping and he ate her out while she's sleeping, and that he, I guess, kind of noticed the 2 lines of the scarring, and that he was questioning her like, hey, like, why is that there? Like, what's going on? And he started to like pick up on shit, and that she freaked out and she had to leave his house. So, you know, it's like situations like that. I just rather be honest. I'm not trying to be another number, you know, out there and you know, because that's how they just see us, which is so unfortunate. But they just see you as just another number, another trans girl that lied to a guy, when in reality that's not everybody's case. So as long as you're not hurting anybody and living your truth, that's all that matters. You know, fuck what anybody else thinks. They're not paying your bills.
And they're not paying for your surge.
Exactly. They're not paying for your surge. They don't know all the stuff that you've been through to become who you are, you know?
We as trans people can sit around all day and talk about passability, doesn't matter, all of that. But the reality is we live in a world where people will devalue our lives and want to take our lives and or discriminate against us just because we're trans. So that being said, if you can, it is wise to do everything you can to present the way you want people to see you.
Trans women that have beards and mustaches that want to be called Miss, that's a fool. Just women, period. They don't walk outside before beards and mustache. That's what we have laser and electrolysis for. What about it says woman? When they sit there and have full beards,
some cis women have beards and they grow a lot of hair
all over their face like that. Yeah.
Genetics.
Yeah.
If you are a trans woman and you have a beard, ask yourself, how you expect to be treated in the world, knowing that people will give you shit for it. There are times, you know, when I did get my documents changed, right? I feel a pressure to look like that picture in my ID, right? And some days I don't want to put on makeup. Some days I don't want to do anything to my hair. Some days I don't want to I just want to be in like sweats and like not care, right? But I also feel so much better when I have makeup on and my hair is done and all this stuff. Like it just, I mean, that's truly who I am at the core of my being. And you know, all of this is so focused on the physical and the appearance that we have, but there's so much more to being trans than that. I mean, it's at the core of my very being. If you don't pass, that's okay. Do something little for yourself to make yourself feel the most empowered that you can.